to you, Mike. If we're going to be doing this throughout, there will be more breaks than there otherwise would be.
Yeah, probably so.
Making your amazing job an absolute ball ache. Because I think we both know from bitter experience that we both have after beer the bladders of 7-year-old girls.
Hello! Welcome! Happy New Year! From Breaking Glass to the Bowie Catalogue, episode 11. Lo and behold. Lo.
Very nice. We've decided to make this, as Mike and I will not see one another over the holidays, a festive special. A Yuletide special. And what enormous grand ceremony are we undertaking, Mike, in order to make this more festive?
I'm drinking cans in my home office.
Yeah, you're not in your home office though, Mike.
No, Adam, of course not.
Much like I am not in mine. Although I do have a lovely can.
I am at a snowy tundra of a winter wonderland in 1770 Paris. I believe there's talk of a revolution.
Nice.
I can't tell because of their thick accents. No, monsieur! Il n'existe pas révolution!
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Mike, because for very similar reasons, I find myself in all of Sicily.
Oh, you're back there, are you? Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm also in Naples, and Rome. I'm doing a tour.
You're essentially doing an apology tour for your indiscretion on the Station to Station episode where you used an inflammatory term.
I drew certainly an observation that part of the chorus in TVC 15 might sound like an ethnic slur, and I made a light-hearted comment suggesting that once I'd been singing that in the branch of a popular newsagents and had caused great offence to a troupe of travelling Italians that happened to be there, I would like to apologise for comments that were made in jest, and I look forward to this apology tour of all of Italy throughout various points in history.
Good. I certainly didn't help matters by shouting like the cast of Sopranos.
Yeah, well, no, specifically poorly, I think.
Hey! Ooh.
Thank God you didn't call anybody Goombas or various other things.
And other various offensive things we shouldn't say.
And other things.
And then not edit out, not thinking I would leave it in.
Hey, nobody asked us to make an apology, Mike. We've proved we're good guys. Now let's crack on.
You now have to do an apology tour for Bowie fans because it was actually Golden Years, not TVC 15.
Oh, shit, yeah, of course it was.
Yeah. Apologise to me!
Michael, I would like to apologise to you for... Michael, I would like to apologise to you on account of my Bowie mix-up.
You would like to apologise, or you do apologise?
No, now what I'm going to do is apologise to all of New Jersey for that accent, which is simultaneously Mayor Quimby and all of the Kennedys.
I think it's a Bostonian accent.
Now I'd like to apologise to the people of Boston for maligning Mayor Quimby and, of course, all of the Kennedys.
Well, they're riche for parody.
A subsequent apology should also be made to the fine proponents of the Foley artist's art.
Yeah.
Not, as I kept repeating, folio, which is, of course, a brand of binder, I believe.
What was funny, I didn't even pick up on that while we were talking. It was only when I listened back to it and editing it, I was like, why does he keep saying folio?
It's because that's what I thought it was.
Okay, you answered my question.
Yeah,
and bless you for being so forefront with it.
No. I'm just trying to think, is there anybody else I need to apologise to?
I still feel like I need to apologise for saying it was a tiny horse.
No.
Okay.
No, you're fine. Well, what I'm delighted by is that this album's only about 38 minutes long, and
so that should be about 4 hours of us talking about it.
We've already been apologising for about that time.
Oh no, jeez. Right, so we are here to talk about the David Bowie album Low. But before we get to low, la 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 la, Bowie news. Bowie news. Hunky Dory turned 45 the other week.
It's looking good on it.
He's looking pretty good. Well done. Black Star has basically made every single publication's top albums of the year.
I mean, that's definitely more newsworthy than just commenting on the passage of time, which is essentially what that Hunky Dory item is.
Yes, that's why I skirted over it quite quickly. I thought mentioning...
No, Black Star, I like to think, would be on that list, even if he hadn't died.
I do think it would be. Certainly, I don't think Next Day was on as many best of the year lists. When
it's not as good.
It's just not as good, which we will come to. I look forward to talking about the whole crushing disappointment of The Next Day.
No, steady on.
Steady boy.
It's not a bad record at all.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it's a bad record, but my expectations of The Next Day were astronomical, and then it was The Next Day. It's not a bad album, don't get me wrong, and we'll come to this, but certainly it was a disappointment for me.
This is all over reality.
Oh, yeah, and we'll come to this in next September or something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that today, given that this is a festive special, we can talk a little bit about Bing Crosby.
Bobby. Well, technically we should talk about him around Heroes, which is the next episode, so... But we can go ahead and talk about Bing. You want to talk about Bing now? Do you want to do Bing?
Well, realistically, I'm just looking for an excuse to go... Ba-ra-ba-pum-pum. And I'll let you do your talking while I do that in the background. I'll amuse myself, go on.
Do I have to talk like Bing?
You don't have to, but it's encouraged.
David Bowie and Bing Crosby on a Bing Crosby Christmas special. Boom, 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 boom. Recorded shortly before Bing's death. At the tail end of 1977.
Yeah, the thing I like about it is he described him as a real clean-cut kid.
Well, he was at the time, to be fair. He also didn't actually have any clue who he was. That's Bing didn't know who David Bowie was.
Which, I mean, admittedly, neither of us were there at the time, but seems faintly extraordinary to me. Like,
well,
yeah,
Bing didn't struck me as a man who had his ear to the grindstone, and I've got to keep up with his popular cats.
No, but front covers of magazines, news articles.
I'm pretty sure Bing Crosby was a man who just lived in his own sphere of Bing.
A Bing sphere.
A Bing sphere. Apparently it was his granddaughter who actually said, Papa Bing, you gotta have David Bowie on your Christmas special, Bobby. I'd like to apologise for the estate of Bing Crosby. For that.
Oh, Papa Bing!
Oh, Papa Bing, please don't hit me. I think when Bowie was on Jonathan Ross's show in 2002, he was talking about recording that, and he was saying that dear old Bing, bless him, he was quite long in the tooth and a little bit past it, and he was given to moments just going, "Hello, David, I'm Bing. Very lovely to meet you, Bing. Hello." "Hello, David." Yes, Mr. Crosby, yes. Hey! Should we get on with this then? Yeah. And Bing Crosby died only, I think, a week later after recording that Christmas special on a golf course. He had a heart attack. And it was quite soon after Mark Bolan died as well, and Bowie had just been on his show as well. So there was, in the immediate aftermath of that, there was a little bit of it's Bowie the Black Widow thing.
The Angel of Death.
Don't have him on your show, for God's sake!
Certainly, to my mind, the 4th or 5th best Christmas song, and I can give no higher praise.
What would you put above it?
A lot of them are cliches.
Fairy Tale of New York?
I do like that.
I'd never get fed up with it.
I wouldn't put it at number 1 simply because it's every prick that wants to come up with a non-commercial one of Pigs, even though it's been in the top 5 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Wizard.
Yeah. Greg Lake, definitely. May he rest in
I
peace.
wouldn't say so, but I mean, I would say I like Elton John's Step Into Christmas.
Oh, I love that one. That one doesn't get played enough. I'm trying. He did do another one. I have it on my phone actually, but it's no Step Into Christmas. I think it was an earlier.
I would say, even charitably, the best of men only have one Step Into Christmas in them.
Yeah, it was. I think this other one he did was definitely an earlier attempt at trying to do a Christmas song. Realised he fucked it, so he came out with Step Into Christmas. I'm going to have to find this now, just so I'm not just talking on my arse.
Fucking love Jonah Louie as well.
Oh yeah. Elton John, Ho Ho Ho, would be a turkey. I can't see the rest of the phrase, so let's just go with Ho 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 would be a turkey, sucker.
Yeah, it's never going to do as well as Step Into Christmas, is it? Which is brilliant.
What's my... I love T-Rex's Christmas Bop.
Oh, I don't know that, but we both know that when it comes to the festive season, I am a rank amateur compared to you, who start taking Christmas lethally seriously from around mid-October, if not sooner.
I start getting my notes together about which films I need to watch, get my Christmas playlist together, about 1,000 songs.
The thing is, Mike, a lot of people don't make notes about Christmas. A lot of people just crack on.
Well, you know, it's a serious time of year. We need to remember exactly why we're here to do it. It's to watch Chevy Chase. It's to watch bad films and, and listen to very mediocre music, which usually I poo-poo. But this time of year, I say yay yay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I put Little Drummer Boy in the top 5 simply because it's our man.
It is our man,
and I enjoy the.
It is a lovely song as well.
It is.
It's a very pleasant.
For me, the golden age of Christmas records was definitely in the 70s.
Yes,
that's when the art form reached its apotheosis.
Indeed.
As everybody tried to wheel one out within the space of what seems like about 4 years based on how they sound.
Because before that, all it was just jazz and easy listening artists just tinkling away on a double bass and a piano. Yeah. Although my favourite Christmas song of all time is Nat King Cole's The Christmas Song.
Of course it is.
I adore that song so much.
I think you'd have to put Shakin' Stevens in there. I mean, I would.
I mean,
because that's just nice.
The song I put on the intro to the Station one, if you didn't know, is Chieftains with Elvis Costello. That's become a firm favourite.
Nice. I don't know if it's necessarily a Christmas one, but that Steel Eye Span one that's in Alan Partridge.
Maintained all this fine Christmas.
Golden Joe.
Nothing says Christmas party like Steel Eye Span's Christmas song.
Nothing. And Janet is forever. And wait, all the lyrics are in sort of. It's either Latin or Latinese. Janet sings. Go do te do do che do te do che che. Virgin ex Maria, Virgin made a baby. Then jumps back into Latin. And always in a vaguely Bowie-esque way.
Because they segue into Cockney.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not in any way, I think, the actual lyrics.
I imagine not, no.
Which is disappointing, in a way.
Is. Next!
Speaking of terrible films, though...
Yeah?
I watched The Revenant last night, or started.
Not a fan?
Oh my God in heaven. Shut up! Get to the point!
I did find it a little bit overrated. Great, I love the music in it, though.
Can't say got that far.
Ryuichi Sakamoto's score, brilliant. Yes, it is a lot of just... I think he said Leonard Cohen. Leonardo DiCaprio. Just basically going... and he has the most hilarious voice because in so many of his films he screams. But he has the worst screaming voice ever because he literally sounds like a 13-year-old girl. Yes, you rugged frontiersman. You killed my boy!
Oh, does his boy die? Does he? I left before that point.
You really did tap out early, didn't you?
Oh,
that's the plot.
We were both so bored.
I'm so bored.
I was really bored. It's just people grimacing in the snow.
And someone right now listening to this podcast going, I tuned in for a Bowie podcast, and it's just two jackasses chatting about nothing.
Yeah, tell you what I watched instead. The Apprentice final, followed by the last hour of Step Brothers. Lovely. Had a charming evening. Boom. The Revenant, terribly dull. Terribly, terribly dull.
My. Moving on to Bowie news.
What, there's more?
There's a couple more stories. They're only very small stories, don't worry.
It's only been 2 weeks.
A poll by CamRate, you know, that very famous, beloved institution.
You rate your cameras or what?
I imagined it was some kind of Matlan thing. Maplin? Said that Bowie is the UK's favourite musician. Good, well met.
Super. I mean, could have told you that, but thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad CamRate were there to tell us that. And the casting director of the Lord of the Rings films said that Bowie was actually approached to play Gandalf, which came out this week. I don't see it personally.
Oh,
No.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, bless them for trying, but no.
No, lovely thought, but absolutely not, no.
Tesla, I can see. Gandalf,
No, God, no. Jabriah, yes.
Oh my, yeah. Why has no one made a Jabriah film yet?
But, no, God.
No, never more.
You shall not pass, no.
You young fool of a took.
Oh, dear God, no. I mean, I've supported him in all of his endeavours. Even Never Let Me Down. But absolutely not. No. Appalling casting. No. Well done for getting Sir Ian, I'm gay, you know, McKellen.
He's gay, you know.
He's gay, everyone.
I hate to shock everyone.
I was delighted when they gave me the role of Magneto, because the persecution the mutants face is very similar to that which homosexuals, like me, have faced for many years. Yeah, it is a bit, Ian. Sorry, Sir Ian, but come on, mate. It doesn't have to be crowbarred into every conversation, does it? You must be dreadful company.
Right. So that's the end of Bowie news. Happy New Year. So let us move on to the life and times of 1976 David Bowie.
It's 1977, isn't it?
The album is, yes. I was building up to it. You clown. Right, because famously, after deciding that he was going mental and becoming an absolute shell of a man in LA, he decided to take himself away from the hubbub and shubs.
And presumably because by this point he'd been rude to every single member of the service industry and couldn't get a seat in a restaurant to save his life.
He could not post one parcel. So he took himself to Switzerland for a short period of time, and then he, and along with Iggy Pop, famously moved to West Berlin after so much cocaine.
Yeah, so they moved to the heroin capital of Europe.
Yay, we got a new thing! Apparently Bowie didn't care for heroin, so he was lucky there.
Yeah, well, that's lucky, isn't it?
Well, he said about Berlin, for many years, Berlin had appealed to me as a sort of sanctuary. It was one of the few cities where I could move around in virtual anonymity and was going broke. It was cheap to live. For some reason, Berliners just don't care. Well, not a bad English rock singer anyway.
No, Berliners just don't care.
Berliners just don't care. And so, we find Bowie and Iggy Pop in Berlin. I just want to talk about Iggy Pop quickly because I think it's important before we get on to Low to quickly mention Iggy Pop's The Idiot.
Now, I won't lie. Gonna hand over to you here. I know that I listened to it at university, but I know piss all about it. I can't even remember what's on it or what it sounds like.
It sounds very industrial and electronic heavy.
Oh, really?
Oh, do you really not remember it at all?
Not in the slightest.
Well, so essentially, when they got to Berlin, they went and they started creating The Idiot, and it was actually made before Low, but it was then released after Low. So
Right.
many see this as the early foundations of the low sound coming into play, because Bowie produced the album and co-wrote some of the songs. And Bowie was quoted later, about, I think, 1999 or something, saying, "Poor Jim, in a way, he became a guinea pig for what I wanted to do with sound. I didn't have the material at the time and didn't feel like writing at all." He essentially made a very un-Iggy Pop album, because everyone expected Iggy Pop to then go make a trashy, thrashy rock album. Instead, they made something which Iggy Pop said himself was somewhere between James Brown meets Kraftwerk.
You see, James Brown meets Kraftwerk is a description of an album sound which almost seems tailor-made to appeal to me.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic. Is this the point where Bowie went on tour with him? Because I know that Carlos Alomar did.
I think it would have been after Low, but yes, it would have been around this time.
When he was in it, and there's that great picture of him with a broad grin on his face and a flat cap thrashing the ivories.
Yeah, so he was basically just playing a stand-up piano in turned-up jeans with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and sunglasses, looking over the whale of a time because he's not at the forefront of the situation. Whereas
Alomar, I was reading, because when he was in like Iggy Pop's band, he was the guitarist and he was at the front. He said, for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was the lead guitarist. I was part of, I was up front with the singer and I was pulling more shapes. And I went back to playing with David, and ended up just being, stood at the back again and being quite resentful, going, hey, I'm Bowie's guitarist to all the other guys. And then there's a lovely little line at the end where he says something like, and then of course I wasn't again. So, hey-ho.
The Idiot, if you don't remember, it's where we have Sister Midnight, which is co-written by Bowie and Alomar, and they did perform it on the Station to Station tour. Also, it's where we first hear China Girl, which was originally called Borderline, and was a tale of unrequited love that Iggy Pop had for Kweilun Nguyen. I think I got that right. And she was married to someone else, and when he declared his love for her, she did actually tell him, shh. So that's where that comes from, on China Girl. Incidentally, I do prefer Iggy Pop's China Girl to Bowie's.
Good for you.
You don't remember it?
Nope.
Well, you're a schmuck.
I entirely agree, yes. I cannot for the life of me remember what any of it sounds like. I don't remember what his version is.
It's a great album.
It's just gone.
Wow.
Gone.
I know when I text you to say, well, let's talk about the Idiot bit, when you said, I don't remember it. Really? I have very vivid memories of us listening to Mass Production.
Yep, none.
No, okay.
It's just a void.
Clearly I cherish those memories more than you did. Mass Production is just an 8-minute industrial noise dirge. Great.
Yes, it's astonishing how that wouldn't have stuck in the memory.
It would have done. It's full of sirens. It takes like 2 minutes to even get going.
Until the French cut it down to a 2-minute single.
We do not care for this elongated industrial dirge.
You see, we've literally just apologised to them. Why you got to do that? Why you got to be like that, man?
I'll apologise in the next podcast. And it also had Night Clubbing on it, which then was covered by Grace Jones, very famously. And the Human League.
You see, his version I do know, because it's on the Trainspotting soundtrack.
Is it? I don't remember that.
Really?
I don't remember on the Trainspotting soundtrack. I remember a lot of songs from Trainspotting, but not Night Clubbing.
Yeah, it's on there.
And also Night Clubbing is where Nine Inch Nails got the drum beat for Closer.
Just to be clear, that is the one where it says, night clubbing, we're night clubbing, I'm strolling through town, or something like that, yeah?
The song Night Clubbing, yes.
Oh, good, because that is a relief. I thought that might be China Girl or something.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Dum Dum Boys or anything like that. Yes, that was Night Clubbing, you boob. And Visconti ended up mixing the album, But he did actually say mixing was more of a salvage job than a creative mix. Because it was so underproduced, he would literally just have to salvage whatever he could from it. So the whole album has a slightly unpolished sound to it, which I quite like.
It's like hip-hop's career, though, isn't it? I mean, Raw Power has famously got 2 issues, and neither one of them are mixed well.
I mean, I mean, a lot of people don't. Well, a lot of Iggy Pop purists don't really like The Idiot just because it doesn't sound like him. And even the cover seems like an early prototype for Heroes because he's striking. I forget the artist's name, but he's striking that very deliberate pose with his one hand. Well, I think that both hands turned up towards the sky. And he's wearing a woman's suit jacket that's too short for him. It's a very deliberate pose, and then it's like a prototype for the Heroes kind of the hand gesture thing. You know that thing.
I do know.
You know.
As ever on this endeavour, I was enjoying your mime.
My mime.
Yes, your mime. My mime.
Right, so we've covered The Idiot, but I think that's The Idiot discussed.
I don't think it's discussed. I think what we've just enjoyed...
I've mentioned The Idiot.
A very brief, factual lecture on The Idiot.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it, Mike, and if anything, I'm now going to buy it.
Well, I implore you to go listen to it, yes.
I undoubtedly will, but I don't know anything about that in particular, but in general, I suppose.
Well, it was worth a mention because it plays a part in the history of Low.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, couldn't agree with you more. Certainly it does. Yes.
Right. Well, let's move on to... Because we're recording now for 6 hours. Let's move on to Low, which was, as you rightly said, was released in January 1977, a full year after Station to Station.
Yeah, what an album it is.
Oh, yes. Pitchfork voted it the #1 album of the 1970s.
And to be fair, the 1970s, there's some stiff competition in that decade.
Oh my, yes. You've got Step Into Christmas.
But some of the stiff competition was recorded by our man here.
Oh, yes.
Occasionally, like a music journalist will just sum something up.
You're ready with a quote, aren't you?
I really am, by a guy called Damien Love, who just said that it's 38 minutes that last forever.
That could sound bad, though. A bit, it's interminable. Oh.
It could, but it isn't.
Did you ask him?
Well, no, it's the line that's at the very end of quite a long article upon the subject. So it's clear. I mean, bereft of context, yes, perhaps you have a point, but it's. I think it's a lovely line. I think it entirely sums up this record.
He was quoted as saying, 1976, it was a dangerous period for me. I was at the end of my tether physically and emotionally and had serious doubts about my sanity. Which is why he took himself away from LA and, not remembering actually recording a fantastic album in Station to Station.
Well, his views on LA are quite well known, aren't they? He said basically it was a cesspool.
Pretty much, yeah.
On the hind of humanity. He's not alone in that regard either. A lot of people slag off LA. I mean, I've never been, but...
Oh, thank God we don't have to apologise to LA next episode.
Yeah, I've never been. I'm reporting what other people have said about your lovely city.
So, it's... Well, let's talk about the album cover quickly, because it's quite famously a visual pun.
Yeah. It's also the best cover he ever did.
Well, again, it's a strange cover because it's a still from The Man Who Fell to Earth, which Station Station also was as well. So it's almost like he couldn't be bothered at that point to bother doing album covers. It's like, that's a lovely picture of me. Let's put that there.
Yeah, what I like about it, though, visual pun, as indeed you say it is nobody got said visual pun, and so he felt the need to then explain it in interviews.
Yeah, 20 years later. Is my profile... you read the word low, and then it's my profile. So, if you didn't know what the pun was, it's literally a profile shot of him. It says low, so low profile. I'm sure both of you got that.
Are you honestly suggesting that anybody that listens to this is unfamiliar with the cover of Low?
Just in case my mum happens to be listening, and she's looking at the CD cover and I go, I don't get what he's talking about!
I can't make head nor tail of this!
What's his whatchamacallit? You call a CD? I'm sorry, Mum.
Mike's mum, I'd like you to know I had nothing to do with that.
Tony Visconti also suggested that the title, in fact, refers to Bowie's low moods he suffered during the recording period.
Well, thank God for Visconti for explaining that, because I think listening to the album, everybody would assume that he was imbued with a fierce sense of joie de vivre. Because it's such an up-tempo, upbeat listen.
See, this is the point I wanted to mention, though, about Low. In the same way we've discussed about Hunky Dory, it being a deceptively darker album than the music would have you think, I think Low is a much more playful, mischievous album than the sound, which is quite, unrelenting, let's just say. I think it's a more playful album than people give it credit for. It's certainly, looking ahead to Heroes, even though they're of a piece, Heroes is a much more sober album. Low sounds like a guy trying to have a little bit of fun.
No, I agree, to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Particularly in side 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because what that sounds like is, to my ears, 3 men who have completely and utterly unpacked the toy chest and are playing with whatever's there.
Yeah.
Whereas lyrically, and obviously there aren't very many lyrics on the entire album, that I think a lot of those are a hangover from the year of living prickishly, the year of psychic terror.
Yeah.
I think the music, yes.
Yes, I talk musically, really, yeah.
I mean, again, there really aren't very many words.
But,
yeah, I mean, I can see that it's playful. I think they're still dealing with, thematically, he's dealing with big concept stuff. There might not be personal problems.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
His relationships, again, really, to my ears, come that much to the fore. But things like Weeping Wall, for example, he's dealing with big themes.
Well, going to your point of the lyrics, here's a quote he has saying, there's oddities of pain in the Low album. That was my first attempt to kick cocaine, so that was an awful lot of pain. Again, famously, the songs are short and very bereft of lyrics because he just had a complete writer's block when it came to writing lyrics. Some of the songs on it, we'll come on to the songs, but Speed of Life and even A New Career in a New Town were meant as songs that were supposed to have vocals on them, which is why they're short, because they were meant as pop rock songs. But he made the music and then he just sat there, apparently, and just could not come up with any lyrics for them whatsoever, so they remained instrumentals.
Which is incredibly brave. If you are, first and foremost, known as, essentially, because he's a one-man band sort of thing, a singer-songwriter, here's some odd little art pieces. I mean, the thing is, it's not a pop record.
No, it's not at all.
This is, I don't think Station to Station was a pop record either. It had a couple of recognisably pop moments on it, but it wasn't a pop record per se. It was, in many ways, just a sort of collection of songs. But these aren't even songs. No. These are they're almost like installations. I
was going to say song cycle just because of the shortness of them and the way they're coming in and out, but I think you're right. They feel like tailor-made pieces from some kind of, like you say, installation that never happened.
Yeah, I think he was definitely trying something new, and without wishing to sound unbelievably pretentious, although I know, of course, that Eno and Bowie, with that whole new school of pretension thing, and describing this and the 2 subsequent albums as a triptych, were no strangers to pretension, but the word that leaps to mind, I think, for every right-thinking person, is art. This is not pop anymore.
No.
He's doing something else. And, I mean, what I find absolutely incredible is the fact that he was approaching 30 at this point. Approaching.
Son of a bitch.
For fuck's sake. He's approaching 30 and going, I haven't got any ideas. I'll tell you what, I'll just fuck off to Europe with a couple of mates and I'll make what's generally regarded to be an era-defining record.
I mean, dear God, he produced this in his lowest ebb of creativity. Fuck me!
Well, no, I disagree. I mean, he may have believed it was his lowest ever creativity, but it clearly frigging wasn't.
Oh, clearly it wasn't, but lyrically he seemed to be.
Anyways, this is his most artistically satisfying era.
It's his biggest shift as a musician at this point, because even though he went from Diamond Dogs and took that complete B-road into Young Americans, this sounds so alien. I mean, even though Station to Station... Listening back to Station to Station, it's much more experimental than I gave it credit for at the time, but that's musicians jamming more, I think, especially on the title track, whereas Low feels like it's made by technicians.
If you'll forgive the words, it seems less conceptual. It's almost like you've got hints of it with the title track in Station to Station, where they just kind of went, "Oh, no, let's just extend it and muck about it."
Let's play around with the feedback, and
they are recognisable a lot of the time. 3.5 minute, maybe 4 songs. Yeah. They are whole complete entities. Whereas some of these, like, they begin and then they go, and they feel like they could go on for another 10 minutes, or some of them feel like they barely got going at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And no, you'll like this as a segue. And nowhere is that more obvious than on Speed of Life.
Nice.
Thanks. I mean, we've done 10 of these already. I'm getting the hang of it now. But the way Speed of Life sort of fades in, and that
like it's already been running forever.
Exactly. That is literally what I was about to say. And it sounds like it has already been going for 3-4 hours. Similar to us on this exact podcast right now.
Yeah.
But it's just...
We've been recording for a day and a half.
But it doesn't start. It merely lets you in for a brief period of time. Mm-hmm. And then, in virtually no time at all, you've been kicked off the other side of it.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. It's like it literally welcomes you in and then just punch you out in through the outdoor. Time, mate. Off you go. We're going to keep having fun here on Speed of Life.
Did you enjoy Speed of Life? That's done now.
To me, it's an absolute cavalcade, because you've got every person who plays on the album on it. You got Carlos Alomar, you got Dennis Davies, you got George Murray on bass. Roy Young on pianos, you got Eno on the keyboards, and of course Bowie's there. And it's literally almost like it's introducing the cast of characters who are going to be playing on Low.
Of course, you've got Visconti, who is like described as the other member of the band.
Yeah.
How it really irritates people like you and me, which is to say, geeks, who, when people say that these were produced by
Eno albums.
But of course, they're not. He was a collaborator. He was a member of the band.
Yeah, he was a member of the band.
Visconti produced them. It was Visconti that had the Eventide harmonizer. You know, it's Visconti's album. But like the members of the band said, no, Tony was basically was well and truly on board. He was a collaborator. He wasn't just sat behind the desk hitting record.
No, he was the guy also with Eno bringing in the machines, going, and as we've said before, this will fuck with the fabric of time. His favourite quote about the Eventide harmonizer. I read an interesting thing about the harmonizer. Its first real usage was by TV companies to change the pitch on TV shows that were, what's the phrase? Repeats and all that. So you'd watch an I Love Lucy and they'd speed the episode up in order for them to fit more commercial time in.
Oh, really?
So they'd speed up the episode, but of course that changes the pitch in people's voices. So like CBS, for instance, would use the harmonizer to bring the vocal pitch down again.
I mean, I don't want to dwell on this, Mike, but what you've just said there has, certainly from my vantage point, made Lord Reith quiver with rage.
Oh, he is super pissed. I'm so glad we're not allowing him in the VIP anymore. You're welcome, Mr. Cohen Spectre.
Lord Reith, who stood just on the other side of the velvet rope, is quivering,
waiting.
Because as a spectre, you would have thought he could just glide on through. But he respects rules too damn much.
He's British, that's why. He knows how to queue. He
really does. I mean, Speed of Life, just to drag ourselves back to that, is... Oh, I'll tell you what I meant to mention, having just glanced at my notes. Wasn't this originally not going to be called Low? It was originally going to be called New Music Night Day.
I mentioned that, yeah.
Is the most Eno of titles.
Yes, that sounds so fucking derivative of, I've been listening to Brian Eno, so I'm going to call it something like that. It's like, I'm so glad he didn't call it that. My God.
Eno always liked to imagine that he was inventing an entirely new form of music every time he did anything.
Yeah.
But... I'm pleased they just went with Low as well. Because New Music Night and Day sounds like an Eno record.
It sounds like, yes, it's... discreet, ambient, all of them. It's just like...
And of course, Roxy. As though it was a genre.
Yeah, I just... Yeah, I'm so happy he didn't use that at the end.
No.
Especially, I always think using the phrase new... in an album title is such a wrong move. A bit like, when Leonard Cohen would do 10 recent songs. I mean, yes, I imagine there's quite a big element of sarcasm used there and a bit of a wink and a nod, but come on, it's 40 years later. They're not recent songs anymore.
Leonard Cohen was famously always sincere and upfront and never in any way arch. So I imagine that was absolutely just not a joke.
There's a lot crammed in here musically for 2.5 minutes. To me, there's a wonderful kind of Blackpool seafront vibe to it.
It sounded quite a lot like Terry Wogan there, just for a moment.
Oh, bless your heart.
There's quite a lot crammed
in. Quite a lot crammed in.
For me. Is it me? Please continue, Mr. Wogan.
The title, Speed of Life, obviously Speed of Light, but some have hinted that it's almost a play on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. Speed of Life, Tree of Life. Terrence Malick.
I don't know. I just always thought that the speed of life was a thing that he was struggling to cope with.
I always took it as a bit of a pun on Speed of Light. Because this is nothing if not a puntastic record.
There we are, listeners. That's 3 different interpretations.
No agreement on any of them.
With no facts to back up any.
Just a shitload of conjecture.
Yeah, it's a classic bit of podcasting once again.
Well, I love Speed of Life. I desperately at one point wanted to use it on a short film. I couldn't. I was told not to because I'd have to pay lots of royalties.
Yes.
Yes. In retrospect, I would have.
Let's be fair. The one thing that struck me when I was preparing for this morning was this episode is going to be heavy, riche, if you will, with what to my mind are now Breaking Glass sort of hallmarks.
Dancing around the subject.
Well, there's dancing around the subject, but also there's going to be quite a lot of talk about songs that we didn't necessarily get when we were younger, but now think are great.
Oh yeah.
For me, certainly, the entirety of side 2 is probably going to fall into that.
Yeah, I have a very clear memory of buying Low in a HMV 3 for 10 sale, and I bought Station to Station, Low, and Tonight.
Oh dear.
Oh yes, that's what I thought at the time.
Really Tonight, but next to those two, that's not good.
Just compared to those monoliths and Tonight.
A similar thing, I bought Tonight and this around the same time because on the remastered ones, there was that in the CD, inside the front cover, there was always that blue square of card that had all of the album covers on it.
Yeah.
That was what I knew. That was what I was going
Tonight always stuck out, didn't it?
Yeah, I was looking at the patterns, basically, and the design in a tiny, tiny square going, well, Low looks fucking great, so I'll get that, and then I'll get Tonight, which looks amazing. It's, loads of colour, big face. What more do you want?
His big face.
Look at he's got a big face, and it's brightly coloured.
Yeah, I remember sat there listening to Station Low back to back, having just listened to Station, putting Low on and thinking, where the fuck am I now? What? Yeah. The speed of light kicks in. And it's like, what the hell is happening? And which I love because it actually, for a moment, put me, I think, what people would have felt in 1977, which would be David Bowie's going, I'm out. Fantastic. Put it on. Mother of pearl. What the hell is this?
I thought exactly the same thing. I mean, but possibly without the musical sophistication that you may have enjoyed at that point, which I, by my own admission, absolutely didn't. I was listening to these instrumental tracks and going, "What? Where's the voice? Give me some words, man.
Where's the Genie?
It's the chorus."
Bobby, even.
I was wrong.
Yeah, right.
As the agrees, it is an absolute masterpiece. Shall we crack on to Breaking Glass?
You just broke for podcast! No! We're on Breaking Glass!
It just got meta. What was that?
Covering by George Murray and Dennis Davies.
Seamless.
It was released as a single to promote Stage, not Low.
Hard to imagine it working as a single.
Yep. It's very drum and bass orientated, this one. It's well, we finally get some lyrics.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
Brilliant. Well, I love the fact that, Speed of Life is instrumental and we finally hear his voice on the second track. So, introspective, drug-fueled lyrics looking back at the US, I think.
Oh, definitely. I mean, don't most people agree here? Those are LA lyrics.
Yeah. This is him looking back and going, wow, I was fucked.
When he painted all his windows black and was just sort of sitting within a magic circle.
Yeah. I mean, don't look at the carpet. Which...
I drew something awful on it.
See. That was referring to his practice of drawing the Tree of Life on the floor. And other such weird shit. You're such a wonderful person, Adam. But you've got problems, Adam.
Undeniably true.
I mean, is that basically just him talking to a mirror?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, you usually take these songs that he's usually talking to some dame he usually has sequestered in his hotel room, but I think for most of these songs where there's any lyrics on them, I think he's usually talking to and about himself.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that I agree. I mean, I think there's certainly an argument to be made that he's talking to a comely young lass.
And I'm the guy to argue with.
Yeah, I mean, basically, picture the scene. You're in LA.
I am there.
He's perhaps holding a young woman, let's call her Dolores, by the hand. He's leading her down the sunny streets, and suddenly we reach a house where you can't see him through any of the windows because he's painted them black. You open the door. Yep, don't go in there. Avoid the carpet. I won't touch you. It's... maybe. I mean, I don't think... I mean, he's definitely playing with narratives at this point. He's definitely playing with pronouns, quite frankly. You don't know at what point. Some of it's in the third, some of it's in the first person. I think the whole album is he's trying something new. He's not trying... It's not the Burroughs cut-up stuff anymore. It's something else. These are not narratives, these songs.
No, they're fragments.
Yeah, they're... Which, again, I think adds credence to our theory that it's... Not theory, but adds credence to the sort of the idea that these are almost like installations. They're not... And you can never see all of them. I always think that so many of these songs sound like they're much bigger than the snapshots of them that we're allowed to see, and I think Breaking Glass is the same. They don't have... I mean, structurally, they don't have verses and choruses.
No. And they're incredibly different to Station, which all of the songs on that, bar Black Sheep, bar Golden Years, are all 5 minutes plus. So they were winding jams of songs, whereas this is almost the antithesis to Station to Station. They're these tiny, short, little break-offs of a bigger song, like you say.
What I find particularly fascinating is that, as we both said, it's not a jam record.
No, this is a very deliberate record.
It's a very deliberate record, and the spectre of experimentation looms large throughout.
Large.
How do you... It's like looking at a painting, particularly if it's your more sort of modern impressionistic stuff.
Mm.
How do you know when it's finished? At what point, after you've slid another card out of the oblique strategies, where you said, like, think in purple or something, pretend you're made of glass, how do you know when a song is done?
I mean, especially with Breaking Glass, because if you listen to... Because that, the Eno's Mini Moog sound, on this particularly, that is really the only main electronic sound on the song. If you listen to the actual song, it's relatively standard in terms of what you hear. It's got Carlos Alamar's rhythm guitar, it's got the bass, it's got the incredibly heavily treated drums, which, by the way, Bowie initially wasn't sure about the sound of the drums, so Visconti would turn down the sound of the harmonised drum in the control room, but keep it in Dennis Davies' headset. So he knew what it sounded like, but Bowie was still thinking, "Oh, it sounds like normal drums." But if you take out Eno's glass sound, because I think that's supposed to be the sound of the glass, it's actually Breaking Glass is relatively standard sound. I say standard. It's not at all. But the instrumentation is standard.
But that's secondary. The fact that they're made with I don't know, conventional instruments and not synthesizers is by the by. It's not just about the fact that a lot of the album was made on synthesizer or through some gadgetry. It's about the approach to the whole album. You can play, I mean, like Steve Reich or somebody did on a piano. Yeah. You can play very conceptual avant-garde music on standard orchestra instruments. The point is, he wrote 6 lines of dialogue, 6 lines of words, and then said,
which are all in 2 beats as well. Don't look at the carpet, I've drawn something off on it.
Yeah,
so that's almost atomic.
Yes, but then that's done now. Any more words, Dave? Nope.
No, that's all I can muster.
That'll do.
Do you think when he's doing these songs, he ever saw an actual commercial appeal to them? Or do you think he was literally just like, I want to make music that sounds like that sounds like, I've been enjoying listening to German bands and electronics, I've enjoyed what Eno's done, I want to make music like that, and then we'll come round to the fact if I can make it sellable? Or he trusted in his own brand at the time?
I don't know. I mean, I think... Possibly. I mean, what's clearly true is that he was making Low for himself, wasn't he?
Yes.
More than anything else. He was making Low. Low was his for him. And I think maybe... Because he was a clever man, and he was a well-read man, and I think maybe he thought that it might not be big in the 70s. I sometimes think that he thought he was making the music of the future.
Yeah.
Though that history would prove him right, even if, contemporary thinking didn't.
To me, this album always just puts 2001: Space Odyssey in my mind. That kind of, as we've spoken before, future wank. That idea of what the future will look like in 30 years' time, but looking at it through a 1970s eyes. To me, the Barbican Centre in London, it has the architecture of someone who saw the future through 1970s eyes.
Oh, yeah.
To me, Low is the Barbican Centre. It is a look at 40 years' time through a contemporary viewfinder.
Yeah, I always really like it when you go to like British seaside towns like Brighton or something, and they've still got all of the old Art Deco, handrail, so on. Almost just like they were going, this is definitely what the future will look like.
Yeah.
These rounded, thin lines.
So many rounds.
It's going to be incredible. Like, I mean, obviously I've never been, but Claridge's. It's that as a view of the future is, I know that was the 20s, but nobody knows, is the point. Nobody knows what it will look or sound like, and everybody's got their own view. And I think that this, I mean, I think maybe I'd prefer, because bearing in mind we are living in his future at this point, I would prefer if the future sound.
The thing is, though, this definitely isn't the future that became, because the futuristic sounds on it, the Eno and Visconti synths and treatments used on it are so out there and otherworldly, which I think brings us nicely into What in the World, because what in the world indeed, because what the fuck? He invented Pac-Man before Pac-Man.
Yeah, but the other thing is, this, while it is a futuristic and far-reaching sounding record, it still sounds incredibly analog.
To be fair, the bass on it, the whole way through, by George Moe, is a very 70s terrific bass, if you know what I mean. It sounds very like Slade. At times it sounds very Philly soul.
Yeah.
Still.
But it doesn't sound digital, is
No.
the point.
No. This is a real amalgamation of looking ahead to the future and still keeping those tried and trusted 70s sounds.
What's that you're drinking there? What's the second one?
A San Miguel.
You are doing a continental tour.
I'm on a whirlwind apology trip. What in the world, Adam? What in the world?
We're still on track 3.
Yes.
It's not a narrative song again, is it? You're just a little girl with grey eyes. Never mind, say something. Wait until the crowd cries.
Again, is he talking about himself?
No.
Never mind, say something. That's a writer's block. Wait until the crowd cries. Him on stage. So deep in your room, you never leave your room. That's the psychosis of not leaving his LA mansion or flat, or whatever it was.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, something deep inside of me, yearning deep inside of me, talking through the gloom.
What in the world can I do?
No, it's what in the world can you do?
Damn it! What can I do, Adam? I'm just one man.
That's the point where he says, like, you're a little girl.
Well, I know.
This. You know, what in the world can you do? I'm in the mood for your love. He's jumping between voices again. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think we might be barking up the wrong tree trying to understand or unpack these lyrics, because, I mean, I don't know, but I think they almost defy analysis, because I don't necessarily think that. I think he was just sort of playing with words a lot of the time, with sounds.
Well, we can try.
Sure, let's do that.
Well, I found the instrumental tracks a little bit. There's a much more of a case to be said that he was just playing with phonetics and sounds. But I think here on these on side 1, he is trying to actually try some sort of narrative. Maybe not even narrative. Some kind of setting a scene.
I definitely don't see a lot of a narrative in What in the World.
Apparently, it was originally. Sorry?
To be honest, that could easily be because I don't necessarily want to.
It could be.
I cherish this album. One of the reasons I do is because it's like the raising the flag for experimentation and saying, you know, do you know what? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing those songs anymore. I don't want to. I don't have to. I could if I wanted to, and he does arguably on 2 tracks on this record, but he doesn't have to.
No. again, apparently is the word. It was originally written for the idiot. What in the world? And was originally titled Isolation.
All right.
Some say they can hear a bit of Sparks in it. What do you think?
No.
No?
No, I can't at all. Can you?
No. Those people are fools.
Well, I'm glad we agree. Take written about the actual sound of the song, though.
It's almost like a samba vibe. Alamar's cheerful guitar sound.
I can tell you that is not what I've written. What I have written, though, is testament to the lack of technical musical knowledge that we both enjoy. Mm-hmm. Is that I've written that it sounds wobbly.
What do you mean?
I can't even replicate it with a human voice. You know, it sounds like there's an electric wobble board playing the whole way through.
Do you mean the guitar? That sound?
I don't know.
Or the Pac-Man sound?
I don't know that I've ever played Pac-Man.
Do you not know what the Pac-Man sound is?
No, I don't.
It's the what in the world sound. That electronic pop, 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 thing going through. How many?
But wobblier.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Vocally, he's very dispassionate, as he is in all his vocals on the album.
Yeah. Not singing from his heart on any of these.
No, it's very disquieting in the way he delivers it. It's very alien, as though, especially in What in the World, it's almost like he's just blithely interrogating someone. I'm in the mood for your love, for your love,
I love,
for your love. Da-dun.
I mean, what's amazing about the lyrics is that even for all of the songs, but even on the CD version, like every single lyric on the album is done.
On one page or 2 pages. Sorry.
You need to turn the page. I mean, you should do though, because there's some startlingly cool images of him. But
one last thing I will say about What in the World is when I remember when I first heard it, I genuinely did think, "What the fuck is this?" Mostly because of the Pac-Man sound, but I did just think, wow, what bobbins is this? And then I grew to love it.
Yeah, you were wrong, weren't you?
I was, as a right peach of a boy, all knees and eyes.
It's a great song. It's similar to Station to Station. There's not a duffer. It's a tremendous album.
Speaking of duffers, Sound and Vision! It's not a duffer.
That didn't work in the slightest.
It was recorded as an instrumental first, much like the others. But he ended up finding lyrics for it, and apparently, this is the only song on the album he did this, he actually wrote more lyrics that ended up being on the song, so he actually trimmed a whole verse. Because Eno said to him,
He trimmed on an album with barely 100 words on the whole thing. He went, that's a bit too much.
I'm boring myself here.
Oh, yabba yabba yabba. Here I go.
Apparently, though, Eno convinced him that it would, which is partly why it has such a long opening, which is a minute and a half, which is half a track of instrumental. Eno convinced him it would be a great idea to just build up the tension of him arriving as the lyricist and the vocal, and almost thinking ahead to having it as the lead single for the album, which it was.
Well, of course it was.
But people be like, "Where is Bowie? Where is Bowie?" And then suddenly you hear, "Don't you wonder sometimes?" And people go, "Yeah."
What I really like is the sort of that opening call and response bit, where as you just said, he goes, "Don't you wonder sometimes?"
Sound and Vision.
Because the answer is really big.
Yeah.
It's like he leans closer to the microphone. It's fantastic.
It was used at the time on BBC TV trailers. which helped the single because they had no promotion for it, and he didn't do any promotion for it. So the only way people heard it, other than on Top of the Pops and radio, was on BBC.
Ah.
And it got to number 3.
BBC doing some advertising there.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, would explain why the ghost of Lord Reith is now just curled up, pounding the floor with his fists.
Blue! Blue! Electric blue!
That's the colour of my room.
Where I will live. Talking about depression, is he? Blue, blue?
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
I found a new website the other day on that internet. You may know it. It's called Genius. It's where you look up song lyrics and the meaning behind them and stuff. And on Sound and Vision, some helpful soul has written that blue, blue, electric blue. That's the colour of the world where I will live. This is about David Bowie enjoying the world he's living in and wishes to paint his abode in a beautiful colour of blue. And then helpfully puts a picture of a blue house underneath it.
Fantastic.
And someone literally underneath just put like, "You're a fucking idiot."
So presumably for the next bit with pale blinds drawn all day, nothing to do, nothing to say, this reflects David Bowie's desire to close his blinds as a result of...
In a lovely pastel colour.
As a result of not having, a lot on.
No. But of course we know better, everyone, don't we? He's talking about when he was in LA, going mad on milk and peppers, and you're just living in darkness.
It is the side effects of the cocaine.
It is the side effects of the cocaine.
Those are the side effects.
Massive psychosis, shutting yourself away, with your pale blinds drawn all day.
I mean, I will sit right down waiting for the gift of sound and vision, and I will sing.
I mean, it's
waiting for writer's block to shift?
Yeah, I think it could be that. It could also be a man talking about the fact he's been suffering this great depression and he's reached a point in his life where he's become accepting of the fact he's given to these bouts of depression and inertia, and when he sits right down waiting for the gift, as you say, maybe at a piano, it's like, I will sit right here, which I think is almost quite a British turn of phrase. Like, I will sit right here, waiting for the gift of sound and vision. So he's quite happy just to sit there and wait for it. It might never come. The gift of sound and vision may never actually appear, but he's quite happy to just sit there because he's through the worst of it, and he's just going to take it as it comes.
And because he's not going to take a load of stuff
Right.
designed.
In fact, I think this should actually be played back to back with Word on a Wing, because Word on a Wing is the prayer, Sound and Vision is the clarity. The clarity afterwards, I think.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
He's found some kind of resolve on Sound and Vision, I think. He's not through the worst of it yet, but he knows what he needs to do at this point.
No, it's like he's reached the crest of the hill.
Yeah.
And he can see a way down. And of course it's one of two things on the entire album that are vaguely recognisable as pop songs.
Yeah. Even though it's got like that minute and a half intro, which is very different to any pop song. I mean, it's even used today still on adverts and stuff, so it's such a recognisable, crowd-pleasing tune.
Oh, it's a banger.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, we don't really said anything about it. Yeah, the music is absolutely, a banger, completely.
It's brilliant.
It actually sounds like Blue Skies to me. It sounds like blue skies and clouds.
Oh, certainly, if you've got the old headphones in and this comes on shuffle, it's not being skipped.
Mm-mm.
We're in big stupid smile on my face territory.
Yeah. Don't you wonder sometimes? And it's the first time in a long time, I think, I can't remember when he's brought out his saxophone. So, you think about Low as the great, first synthy album he did. He's got his bloody saxophone back out for a first time in ages.
Well, that's because there's not as much synth, I think, as sometimes people think. There was a lot of treated instruments.
Yes.
Like, there's that great picture of, like, the piano with hammers and bits of rolls of tape and stuff wedged into the strings in order to make it sound different.
Mm.
There's a lovely handmade quality to how they made those sounds.
It's digital analog, which is a stupid phrase, but that's almost what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's people thinking of what mechanical sounds sound like, but using physical instruments.
Mm. It's using analog physical instruments to try and work out what a digital future will sound like.
Mm.
And Michael, with that, I think we're going to move on to Always Crashing in the Same Car. I'm going to hand over to you.
Why me?
Well, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is a song that you have historically loved now for most of your adult life.
Many years now, Adam.
In a profound way.
Yeah. I first heard this on that Bowie live, the Click Club album. The Kit Kat Club.
You're better than that.
That was a genuine roll of the tongue there. Yeah, Bowie live at the Kit Kat Club, bootleg used to have, and I first heard it on that, and I instantly was absolutely enthralled by the riff, which is an almighty riff. And when I got into Low, this became just one of those songs where I would just, whenever I wouldn't say felt down, but just felt in a slightly darker mood, this would just be the perfect, you come home at night, you're feeling a little bit funny and all that, and you just bang, hey, Happy New Year! And that riff and the theme of the song, to me, is absolutely the template for 80s gothic rock, The Cure, Bauhaus, or I think goth rock starts with Always Crashing in the Same Car.
Really?
Yes, that is my opinion on it. I think it's the sound of frustration, it's the sound of a man literally tearing his hair out at what the hell his life's become, but he sings it in such a dispassionate, nonplussed way. You really have to listen to the lyrics to understand what this person's talking about. And that riff is so dark. I fucking love Always Crashing.
No, I mean, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I hadn't necessarily considered that it was the godfather of, well, basically, alternative rock.
I think it's the godfather of Marilyn Manson as well, this song.
Well, he himself always said that it was Scary Monsters, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he's wrong, though. I think he means this.
I think he needs to think about his own life a bit more. It's the last line, and indeed the way he sings it as well, because it's one of the rare glimpses of any emotion.
I've written down he sounds almost jazz bar like he's almost crooning it.
Always crashing in the same car.
Again, this is the story. This is actually based on a real life incident. Mm-hmm. One story has it say that he was driving his Mercedes around town and he spotted a drug dealer on the streets who he believed had ripped him off. So in retaliation, Bowie rammed his car repeatedly into the dealers. And then he drove away quickly, and then ended up driving in circles around his the hotel garage. Hotel garage! In a blind state of panic at what he just did.
I mean, I really hope that both of our listeners enjoy those little snippets of you and I trying to...
Must have been touching close to 94.
94. You can't talk about Bowie, though, can you, without... Because his phrasing is so odd, or so unique, that is what I really mean. Hotel garage.
Apparently again, that naughty word apparently is back. He did actually record 3 verses, and he sung the third verse in the style of Bob Dylan.
Always crashing.
Must have been touching girls in '94. But at the time he recorded it, Dylan.
I'd like to apologise to all fans of Bob Dylan, recent Nobel Prize winner, who's behaved like an absolute prick. He didn't refuse the award. He just refused to turn up or even acknowledge it.
Yeah, I'll take your money and your prize.
Your award.
I ain't gonna pay for plane fare. Yeah.
As I put my foot down to the floor.
I mean, this is a story. This story I think sounds bollocks. I think this is someone who made this up completely, but he didn't include the Bob Dylan vocal on it because Bob Dylan had recently had his motorcycle crash, and the band thought it was a bit crass to include that in it. That to me sounds like someone's fucking made that up on the internet, but I wrote it down and told it to you nonetheless.
That sounds like more of Dwight Yoakam's Hokum, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yoakam's Hokum. The drums, to me, sound particularly disjointed on this, even though they sound disjointed the whole way through. And that guitar solo at the end, it just carries it off into oblivion. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I have to really say on Walls Crashing. Fucking love it. Brilliant.
You're not wrong. I mean, the title, you could be forgiven, couldn't you, for thinking that that's what he was attempting to address by the upping sticks and fucking off to Europe.
It's in the circle nature of making the same mistakes over and over.
I am not just going to keep crashing the same car again.
I'm not going to keep putting my head in this mountain of cocaine.
Yeah.
It's not the side effects.
I'm not going to get into the point where I'm attacking a drug dealer's car with my own. Why would I fuck up what I've got? Because of... it's not the side effects. I've got a handle on those. Can I have more milk? It's simply...
You've got any more green peppers?
Very Moorish. Much like this cocaine. I don't know if you've tried it. It's wonderful stuff. No side effects. No side effects at all. Should we do the other pop song?
Be my wife.
No.
Fair enough. I asked. So.
But I love Be My Wife. I love it in particular for that rolling piano.
The ragtime piano.
Yeah. I think it's the only actual pop song on there, isn't it?
Which is what RCA thought at the time, which is why they rolled it out as a single, and it completely bombed.
But you can tell that RCA were clutching at straws, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a weird song. It's like you said, it's a cheerful, almost poppy number. And for God's sake, it's Anthony Newley's back.
Get so lonely. Please be mine. Oi.
Apparently, it actually was his first single since Changes to not hit the UK charts at the time. So it really did bomb.
Astonishing.
And it's also the first video he'd made since Life on Mars. Similar setup in a white room, him just performing. It's a very strange video. Do you remember it?
I do. I like that video.
Where he's got like the over the top makeup, the lipstick. He almost looks like Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, he does, and he's got that he's got a neckerchief on, hasn't he? Like
yeah.
a cravat with
what I've read is
shirt and a pair of strides.
Yeah, and he has this really just not nonplussed look on his face. And what I've read is he was performing in the video in the style of a silent cinema star trying to play a rock star. So his face is registering Buster Keaton.
Oh my god, yeah, you are right.
And when you read that and hear that, you actually, like you just did, you just go, oh, it makes sense now.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's a silent movie star pretending to be a rock star.
Yeah. And if that was what he was going for, then bloody hell he pulled it off.
Nailed it.
He did, really did. Well done him.
In many ways, it probably should have had, like, I don't know, a subheading.
Yeah, this is the intention of the video.
And then maybe people would have liked it. Because
Yeah, and not thinking that...
Pull that off, yeah.
Why is Bowie wearing lipstick and looking bored by his own song?
That's exactly what it is.
Yep. Some consider the song to be a last-ditch attempt pleading to Angie.
Well, he'd broken up with Ava Cherry by this point.
Yes, he had done her in the right way long enough. Be My Wife is quite an anti-rock vibe, isn't it? Usually, rock singers going, "Oh, I want to have you in my room and slap my thing in your face and do things into your face." This one, you're just going, "Can you be my wife still?"
Yeah, but what you've done there is describe the previous 3 albums.
Yes.
Gonna put it in you.
This time he's saying, "Can you put the kettle on, love, and come don my socks?"
Yeah, I don't want to pushing it, keep it in the back. I don't want to do that anymore.
No, he's had enough. He's had enough of Ava.
Oh, is there any way we could watch Spring Watch instead?
I've got it recorded. I'm desperate to watch it. Have a night in. Order a takeaway.
Sometimes I get so lonely and tired and a bit cold.
He's lived all over the world. He's been every place.
Love, could you get my slippers?
Ah! No slippers!
Mike, I got to thinking. It's not about the album.
Mm.
It's about Bowie at Christmas.
Okay.
I mean, we spoke briefly about Drummer Boy, but I also know that, as you say, you draw up a playlist, as you mentioned. So, I mean, what Bowie hits your Christmas playlist? And why? For example, when does this playlist go on? Do you stick it on in the morning and it runs through the day?
Yeah, it's pretty much constant.
Alright, so let's assume that dinner is served.
Mm-hmm.
What Bowie's timed to coincide with this great event?
Well, none, but not Christmassy.
Well, I know from bitter experience that your mother is one hell of a cook. So, I mean, what does go with that then? Where does Bowie come into the A Michael Christmas?
But he doesn't, apart from Bing.
Are you here to honestly to only tell me that 1,000 songs and they're all Christmas themed?
Yeah!
Shut the fuck up!
I've got 1,000 Christmas songs.
You have 1,000 Christmas songs?
Yeah! Each one is bland as the last. I've got the Muppet Christmas Carol soundtrack. I've got the Rocky IV soundtrack on there, because that counts as a Christmas to me. I've got James Taylor at Christmas. I've got Frank Sinatra, Elvis.
I have a story to tell you about Rocky IV.
Yeah.
We'll do it at another point, but go on.
Okay. I've got Johnny Cash's Christmas, which is delightful.
Imagine it's very low tempo.
Oh my, yes.
And quite Jesus heavy.
Yes, he did like a bit of Jesus, that Johnny. Oh heavens to Murgatroyd. I just love all that Christmas shit. I got a King's College Choir, just like, all that shit. All good shit.
1,000 Christmas songs.
1,000 Christmas songs, my lord.
Shut the
I love music, Adam.
Not as much as you love Christmas, apparently.
Yeah, I do. Tinsel!
I could already see tinsel surrounding 2 of your pictures. The fact that you yourself are now festooned in it, whilst you take a slug of your continental lager, only adds to the Christmassy image.
This tinsel's awful itchy.
Seriously, no Bowie hits the decks on Christmas.
Well, what would you suggest goes in the playlist for Christmas?
Golden Years.
That's not Christmassy.
It doesn't have to be Christmassy. It's Goodwill to All Men. It's a playful, happy song.
What are you talking about?
Just because it doesn't mention Santa, tinsel, or Jesus doesn't mean that it can't be happy and upbeat.
That's 3 of the 5 covenants he's written off.
What are the other 2? Robins
and tinsel?
I mentioned tinsel as one of the 3.
Being lonely at.
I I love Tinsel.
Christmas being lonely at.
That's one song. That's just mud.
No, you'd be surprised how many maudlin, depressing songs there are about, oh, I can't be there at Christmas. Oh, That's the sound of Tinsel, everyone. I'm rolling up. Mike'sFunnyNoises.net.
Clonk. I really like Chris Rea as well. That can go on the list.
Prick.
You don't like Driving Home for Christmas?
Oh, it's too twee for me. It's too twee for me. Don't look at me like that.
I happen to know that you have a abnormally low threshold for twee where Christmas is concerned.
Now, Adam, I have been considering a new career in a new town.
Yeah, all right, yeah. It's very nice, yeah. Take a bow.
But seriously, I'm putting my CV out there, so if anyone knows of any media jobs. A new career in a new town. Is he talking about his move from the US to Europe again?
Would seem to be the case.
Is he announcing the arrival of the instrumental side of the album? His new direction?
That's a more compelling argument, certainly.
Yeah. Certainly got the sequencing on the album.
I'll tell you what I really love about this. Is that a lot of the music, to me, sounds... Now, bear with me. Sounds industrial.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, I don't mean heavy.
Yeah.
I just mean it sounds like a jaunty industrial process. But it's like... Do you understand even vaguely what I mean?
Vaguely, yeah.
Right. So you've got that, and then you've got the harmonica, which, to my ears, the slightly treated harmonica, that just sounds like him.
Well, the harmonica...
To me, it sounds like the harmonica, which has probably got a cartoon lightning bolt over its face, is just wandering through an industrial town.
Yeah, well,
it's tremendous.
The harmonica is one of the only non-treated things on the album.
Is it really? It sounds treated.
It's Bowie playing it, so on this, it is in place of the vocal. So the harmonica line is Bowie's vocal.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
And it's the first time he played a harmonica since Gene Genie. To me, it always sounded very reminiscent of the Midnight Cowboy theme tune.
He's fucking good at the harmonica, though.
On this he is, yeah. But yeah, like you're saying, it's that merge of the two worlds. You've got the electronic, like when the when you get that lovely bridge point where it literally is just the synth going boo 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 boo, which sounds otherworldly. But then you've got that Americana harmonica coming in, which just grounds it so much in like the southern states and. It's like he really is saying goodbye to the US with the harmonica. It sounds like a relatively warm-sounding song as well.
But arguably, I mean, the harmonica could also represent his own past as well. I mean, if you give where he started from, with
the
like
blues.
King Bees and the Conrads and stuff, it all basically came from us appropriating the blues from America. And by appropriating, I mean stealing wholesale. And then, which of course... was already stolen to begin with, but because because rock and roll is inherently based in the blues. He's just not going to do. Well, he doesn't foresee himself doing that anymore. We both know he will, but he's got no intentions really going down that road again.
Yeah,
I think it's a lovely bit of music.
I love this song very much. So I always remember Juliette Lewis. She once said this was
dear Julie.
Dear Julie. She once said this was her favourite song.
Well, she's just gone up in my estimation.
Yeah, she said it basically was him saying, I'm done with rock, and this is what I'm moving on to next, and this is what to expect, everyone. So, keep an eye out.
So, keep them peeled, yeah?
Yeah, this is what we're doing here. unfortunately, I don't have much more to say to A New Career in Newtown, even though it's a song I cherish very much, so I love it.
Me neither. But
it's very much. Aside from talking about how the song is structured musically, which I can't talk about, then Mazel Tov, wonderful song, love it.
Well done all, tea and medals.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this next one, Mike, because obviously we have a fondness for singing lyrics poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to go first, or should I?
Please, you go first.
You'll go.
Oh, going for the Alexander Armstrong approach.
Yes.
Can I just skip ahead and go, riding the Shelley, 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 Om.
Mario.
Mario. So, Wazawa.
I think we've covered that.
Beautifully. I've not heard any banging from my neighbours in revolutionary France. That's where I was all of 2 days ago.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Right, that vocal, as we've just decimated that vocal, the vocal is based on a recording of Hello Kani by Polish folk choir Slashk, who Bowie picked up some of a vinyl of theirs on a day, or I say day trip, like he went to a fucking day out there. Him and Iggy Pop stopped there on a trip through to Berlin on the train because of the train difficulties, so they stopped at Warsaw. And Bowie took a walk through the city and went to a vinyl shop. And there are people even today who are around who will tell you the story of the day Bowie came to Warsaw. And fans like flocked around him and watched his every move as he walked through the city. And he found this vinyl by a band called Slash. And he's emulating their vocal on the... yes. And
sounds funny, doesn't it? Sounds funny.
It's a funny song. During the vocal part, there's 110 Bowie vocals going all at once.
You see, now that's interesting.
Yeah. A lot of them are all doubled up. I think he recorded about 20 different versions of him singing, and then he doubled a lot of them up, but there's actually 110 of his voices going at once.
And which one's the best one?
74.
Yep, that's the critic's choice.
It would be the song that he would open up the Isola 2 and Heathen Tours. You can hear on stage, the proper version of stage. It opens up the whole album. Joy Division took their name from it originally. Obviously not Joy Division, but they're originally called Warsaw, and it was
Adam
because
Buxton
of Warsaw.
did that absolutely lovely short film about it.
What's that?
Adam Buxton's little cartoon about it.
Oh yes, yeah.
I'm in a spooky cave with bats.
Just one cornetto.
I love doing the Derek and Clyde voices.
This was the point where Eno's experiments started coming into play, because he put down a click track that had 430 clicks, all created by hand.
Yes, I read this as well, but I didn't know what a click track meant.
It's used for a drummer, essentially, to get for the beats of the song, to get in 3, 4. So when you listen to an unedited track, you'll have a click track over it. And then what they would do is just pick specific clicks now and then just play the keys at a certain point in the song, which would give it a disjointed, like, almost chaotic sound. Even though the chaos is very slight in War's Hour, because it's They're basically pressing keys for 2 minutes. So it goes dum, wah, 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 boom. To me, it sounds like a very harsh neo-realistic Italian film from the 70s. That's what it conjures in my mind. It's a very desolate, war-torn, bullet-ridden soundscape that's created here.
I wouldn't know.
Wouldn't you?
No, I don't think I've ever seen an Italian film.
Really?
Once again, I'd like to apologise to the Italians. I know they've made massive contributions.
Hey! Oh, you're not seeing flippity filly. You can go on the apology tour next time.
I'm already there. I'm literally...
Well, apologise on my behalf.
I'd like to apologise for my colleague, who apparently thinks you all sound like extras in a mafia film. The fact that you've just made noises and then ended on yibbity yibbity.
That was an important wedding song from The Godfather.
The problem is with you, Michael, is you gotta know respecter. So what I believe you should do is simply shut up in your face.
What's the matter, you?
You gotta know respecter.
Part of the legend of Wazawa is...
You know that beat Ultravox's Vienna?
Yeah.
Famously, to the number one spot. But the thing is, Ultravox's Vienna, it's a dynamite song.
It's not as good as the real Vienna.
No, but people will have kept that. What happened to all of the copies of Joe Dolce's Shut Up in Your Face, which went to number one? Where have they gone?
They're in my house.
I've never seen one in somebody's record collection.
You had a fact about Wazawa?
Yeah, they basically nicked the piano part.
I was just about to mention this. Where did they nick it from?
Well, according to my research, they nicked it off Visconti's infant son.
That's what I had. But I had it as Eno heard him tinkling a piano in 3 chords and sat down with him. The way you describe it sounds like they heard him play it, punched him in the face, stole... He's nicked his idea.
I'll admit that your version it certainly paints Eno in a kind of light.
He just ran in, headbutted the child.
No, I'm having that.
You didn't hear fucking nothing, boy, alright? Smashed his piano. Yeah, the boy was 4 and was noodling.
Yep, a boy of 4, noodling. And then a creepy man, balding at the time, perhaps wearing a turtleneck, came to next to him. Play that again, child.
My name is Brian, but in truth I have many names.
Eno. Oh no. Oni.
Brian, John, Paul, Ringo, Saint Clair, De La Salle, Baptiste, Aruga, Eno.
De La Soul.
De La Soul, yeah.
I'm not quite sure how they made the flute sound on this song. Is it actually a flute?
I think what they did was they took a flute and fucked about with it.
Very well, Adam. You're not going to be any help in this regard, are you?
I don't have a clue. And yet, for this one, I did the reading. I did it. I promise you I did. I read 3 books.
You're like the lamest judge ever. Seriously, guys, I read 3 books in preparation for this case.
I mean, at least one of them was that book you lent me about North Korean cinema, which I've got to be honest was of little help.
No help.
And the other one was a John Grisham page turner. But the other one was about Bowie.
So you read 3 books, only one of them tangentially connected to Bowie.
No, I did the research because I was very concerned that while I love the album, I understand very little of how it was recorded. I've read a lot of words, but I just don't know what some of them mean.
This podcast is going to get some heavy editing, I think.
Well, let's just have a little look where we're up to. Yeah, it's 6:20 now. I believe we started at 4, so...
Yep.
Good luck, Mike. Good luck.
Fuck me. Fuck. Have we talked about much about the sound of Ozawa other than just facts we've written about it? It's brooding is the word, I think, for it.
You see, I would have gone with haunting.
Oh. Well, I said the flute sound on my notes is quite haunting, like a fog cluttering a city.
Well, lovely image, well done. I think it's a terribly haunting record.
To be fair, to mine ears, he has summed up what, in my mind, Berlin would look like in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Having never been there in the 1970s, and
or indeed subsequently.
In the rest of the E's.
I could be. I mean, I've never been to Berlin. I don't think you have.
I know people who've been to Berlin.
Yeah, so do I. They spoke highly of it. They said it was an excellent place.
I knew people who didn't speak so highly of it.
My sister was in Cabaret once. I think I've basically got a handle on it.
She is Willkommen and Bienvenue. Do we have anything else for Ozawa? I feel like we just...
I mean, I feel like we could be guilty of giving it short shrift here, which is not justified in the slightest.
No, because
there isn't a throwaway song.
It's the first...
38 minutes of genius.
I mean, it's the first... I mean, Speed of Life and New Korean New Town aside, it's his first... Because I feel like those were intentional pop songs that were left unfinished.
Almost aborted ones.
Yeah. Ozawa is clearly a piece of instrumental music constructed to be that. It is a mood piece.
Yeah, no, I think that's
a very intentional, deliberate piece of music.
Yeah, completely and utterly.
And what more is there to say?
Well, I mean, certainly for me, I lack the necessary vocabulary to possibly do it justice. I think it's cleverer than I am, I think. The whole of the second side is, really.
Is your hamster drinking shit?
Well identified. That is exactly what's happening. The only thing I object to is your description of it as my hamster. I do not have a hamster. Janet has a hamster. I share my space with a hamster.
Can you tell her to shut up or punch it or something?
Believe me, I'd like to, but it has been made very clear to me that any instances of hamster punching will be met with fierce reprisals.
No sex.
It's not so much the sex, Mike. It's I would say warm feelings, kind words. All of these things will be rescinded in the wake of any hamster punching. The hamster must go unmolested.
Art Decade.
Yes.
Named after a street in West Berlin, apparently. That word again.
Is it?
Yeah, I thought it was another pun.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought Art Deco, but,
Yep.
over 10 years, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's a portrait piece of West Berlin. The idea Bowie had at the time was to create a piece of music which had a sense of a city in decay, with no hope of rebirth. So quite a dark, melancholic piece.
Well, he's nailed that. To me, it reminds me of V2 Schneider.
Yeah, I can see that actually, yeah. Especially the guitar on it. I'll come to this later because I was going to mention about something else. But that very strange cacophonic sounding guitar that just wheedles its way throughout. It's really just, it's unrelenting and very, very dark. Again, gothic almost. Eno said that this was something that Bowie came up with on the piano, the basic tune for it, but he threw it out thinking it was a bit of, whatever. And then, whilst he was away in Paris during the recording of Low, which is when Eno went and did most of his work on the songs, because Bowie was away in Paris at a court hearing against his former manager. It was during this period that Eno took Art Decade and started adding the layers of synth to it. And then when Bowie came back, he played it back to him, and Bowie loved it.
Yeah, I do wonder, though, during this point, I mean, Carlos Alomar has described that at this point, Eno was basically in charge of Bowie. Like, I mean, obviously Bowie is a very clever man, but he was a man given to certain sort of intellectual fancies and passions.
Well, he was a sponge for creativity, so he finds a new thing that intrigues him.
This week, I like this.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm now an expert on this. And to be honest, I think it's to the man's credit that he remains so interested in stuff.
Yeah,
and he absorbs so much stuff. But at this point, one of his biggest obsessions is probably Brian Eno.
Happens to the
Don't
best
get me
of
wrong.
people.
I've been through an Eno phase as well, and at least he got to meet the man. So, more power to him. But I don't think that Eno stitched him up at all. I think the album is flawless. But you say he comes back and he listens to the tinkering and goes, "Oh, it's terrific, yeah." But I mean, honestly, what would Eno have had to have done for that not to have been the case? Is I guess what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, certainly to me, this sounds like the most Eno track on the album.
Yeah, definitely.
This does sound like,
which, considering that the track that preceded it actually has a co-writing credit on.
Yeah, whereas this,
and he doesn't on this one.
This could almost be an Eno track on a Bowie album, almost like he's just featured an Eno track on the album.
Yes, from the aborted Eno album, New Music, Night and Day.
Yeah. The other note I had on it was, to me, it sounds like a duet between East and West Berlin across the wall. That sound of that kind of organ, then with a synth on top of it. It's almost like you got dueling keyboard sound back and forth with each other.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there?
I like Art Decade. I think it's an underrated track.
I do. I mean, but again, to repeat a tired phrase, there isn't a Duff one on this album.
No, true.
Much by station to station. Art Decade's not my favourite, though.
No, but I feel like when it comes to instrumentals, especially like Wazawa and Subterraneans, get all the credit, almost.
See, I think Weeping Wall is where it's at.
All right. Well, sure, that brings us nicely onto Weeping Wall. Weeping Wall.
You love Weeping Wall. Now, Weeping Wall, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but the Weeping Wall, is the Wailing Wall the thing in, Jewish tradition? Is it in Jerusalem?
I'm not sure, actually. I wouldn't like to say.
I'd like to apologise on behalf of the Breaking Glass podcast to the entire Jewish community.
For our ignorance.
But I believe, is the Wailing Wall not in Jerusalem? It's one of the big holy sites.
Well, it's usually in my bedroom when I'm trying to make merry with Barbara.
Well, I mean, I think it's testament to your techniques of seduction that wailing still, both the noise and indeed the slaughter of large marine mammals, plays such a big role in your lovemaking.
So, Weeping Wall, the misery of Berlin, which is essentially what the song is.
You've got two walls, haven't you? Is what I mean. You've got there's the one that I've slowly but surely been getting at, the Wailing Wall or the Weeping Wall. I think it's the Wailing Wall in the Jewish tradition. But then you've also got the bloody great big wall that's been erected all the way through Berlin. And I think you've got both working in tandem there. You've got, like, the Jewish tradition, which, of course, is rather affected by the Second World War.
Somewhat, yes.
And then you've got the wall that the Allies have leapt up in the middle of Berlin. I think almost, it's not a pun, but I think maybe, because that would be crass, but you've got, maybe there's some sort of link there. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Honestly, what I'm doing here is I'm basically embarking on a train of thought. Mm-hmm. I don't claim for this to be fully fair, nor do I claim to have got it from anywhere else.
I'm not sure. I think this is actually one of the more open book songs of the album. I think he is talking about the Berlin Wall.
Well, that would make a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think he is just talking about the misery that the wall has caused in Berlin, because he's there.
I freely and fully admit the charge that I might be reaching.
It was the last song recorded for the album, and Bowie actually played all the instruments on the song. So,
is that a xylophone?
Yes, it is. Yes. It says that Steve Wright influenced it, as did Eno, obviously working with him, and Philip Glass. Because you listen to it, it's very syncopated, like Philip Glass's music. It sounds almost like he's been listening
to systems, weren't they? The system of music and like repeated loops and closed loops.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, listening to it with a Philip Glass ear, you can almost hear Einstein on the Beach on it. And if you listen to Einstein on the Beach, you have 16-minute songs where it just goes 0 1 0 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 1 0 0 1 1 0 0 1 1 1 1 0 1 1 1.
I'm going to have to stop you there, Mike, because what I heard in my head was not Einstein on the Beach, it was Einstein a Go-Go, which of course sounds absolutely nothing like that. And then when you started doing the 001 bit, I just heard that bit from The Simpsons, where Barney's done an experimental album with Yoko Ono.
Number 8. Number 8. Number 8. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really sorry that your references, particularly here, aren't
my highbrow references. Some Adams say it's a lesser song, a lesser instrumental, almost because it's so clear in its influences. It's almost derivative. So it is. Okay. Some say it is almost Bowie trying to do an Eno, trying to do a Philip Glass, trying to do a Steve Wright.
Oh no, I don't think so at all. I think the fact that it wears its influences on his sleeve doesn't lessen it. He always wore his influences on his sleeve. That doesn't mean they're any the lesser for it.
No, I don't think so.
The track I mentioned before, V2 Schneider, references by name one of the members of Kraftwerk, which of course he was listening to at the time. I still don't think that song sounds particularly exactly like Kraftwerk.
No, not at all.
It doesn't matter to me that he's always and forever said, this is what I enjoy at the moment, this is what I'm listening to, I think you should too. I don't think that's... No, I don't agree with that.
Actually, no, we'll leave that for Hero. I was going to bring up Krautrock, and we'll leave that for Heroes, actually, because we're overrunning already.
It's more appropriate for Heroes, anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say the whole thing about I hate the term Krautrock, and just get into a bit of a diatribe about that, but I feel we're going on long enough anyway.
For what it's worth, I agree. But
yeah,
let's
save that for Heroes. We'll do our rant about the term Krautrock for that.
Well, it's derivative. Anyway.
It is. I find it offensive.
Yeah.
I really love the really quiet panic of Weeping Wall, brought about the xylophone, and then again, I'll use the analogy again. The guitar has this almost hazy cloak over the song, and then the synths in the background, that kind of there's so much going on, and it sounds like there's a city in panic.
I think the word panic is right. The whole thing seems to gather pace.
Yeah.
I mean, the xylophone doesn't perceptibly pickup
No,
bass.
I think it has a rhythm to it which drives it along.
It feels like it does, and it feels like there is a mounting sense of panic about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like a city on the edge.
Yeah. There's something very...
You would be if you were suddenly divided into two city-states.
Yeah, I think there's something deceptively actually disturbing about Weeping Wall. And I agree with what you said. I think Weeping Wall is a vastly underrated song.
I think it's tremendous, I really do.
Yeah, really good. I mean, it's not a song I often think about, but actually listening to it in preparation for this, I did sit there thinking, fuck me, this is a wonderful piece of music.
Well, I always think, why isn't it used behind more things?
Mm.
You know, it just because of that sense of panic that we've both mentioned, it would fit beautifully behind any number of things.
Yeah.
Great.
Weeping Wall, fantastic.
Great.
So, to our final track, Subterraneans. Really, really, I mean, we've got some words here, but we may as well not do. I think it's interesting to go back here to The Man Who Fell to Earth, because this is the one and only track that legend has it. This is a leftover from Bowie's abortive Man Who Fell to Earth soundtrack. That the famous bass line that dum 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 dum, that was apparently written for Man Who Fell to Earth. At the time when he was making the film, he thought he had the soundtrack sewn up. He thought he was doing it because he's David Bowie, but no one had actually thought to have a discussion about this. You'd think very famous rock star being in a film made by a studio, litigation would come in, these things would be discussed. He just assumed he got the gig. And then Nicholas Roeg said, "Oh no, we're actually I'm entertaining a few different artists for music." And when Bowie found out that other people were, he had to basically audition to do the soundtrack. So he was already in the film. He was acting as the main star, but he had to audition to actually provide the music for it. And when he found out that he would have to provide music as a almost audition, he told them to go fuck themselves. Because he was David Bowie and he was the lead star in the film itself. So he didn't bother making any more music.
I think he's got a point there.
I think to be fair, I don't even think that's a bigger knobhead thing as it sounds. I think he's got a bit of a point there.
Yeah.
So it ended up being John Phillips from Mamas and Papas doing the score, which is as incongruous as it sounds.
Yes, it is.
Although Nick Roeg did say he wanted a more Americana soundtrack as opposed to an otherworldly alien sound, which, given Subterranean's bass line, you could see where Bowie may have gone with it.
Well, that is certainly where I think most people would go with it, isn't it?
I think so, and I would love to have heard Subterraneans. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame it doesn't really exist.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great tragedy because, for love of me, I've watched Man Who Fell to Earth several times now, and I cannot for life remember any of the soundtrack.
No, distinctly forgettable.
Yep. And I like Mamas and Papas, I like John Phillips, but can't remember a single fucking thing about it.
I like the Mamas and the Papas, I like that film. I like virtually everybody involved. Can't remember a damn thing about it though.
No, well, good choice. Good choice, everyone.
Yeah, nice one, Nick.
The song itself is purportedly about people who were captured behind the wall in East Berlin. So that's the sense of dreariness to the song. The saxophone that comes in is supposed to be a haunting callback to the jazz-fueled 1920s of Berlin. And going back to what you were saying earlier about his songwriting of Subterraneans, Bowie said himself, he was intolerably bored with conventional narrative rock and roll lyrics. So writing these instrumentals and indeed all of Love,
that much is clear.
Which is his reaction to he's just fucking sick of writing, ooh baby baby, rock and roll with me, blah 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 blah, rebel rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he never really did again until, well, arguably the late 80s.
Come to that. I read a great little bit where it said, the journalist Wesley Stock asked an RCA operative his thoughts on the second side of Low. And this RCA person said, "It's avant-garde, it's ambitious. Frankly, I think it needs more work." And then this Wesley Stock asked, "Subterraneans?" And the guys just replied, "Religious." Do you think it sounds religious?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Not in an hallelujah, hallelujah way. But certainly there must be more than this provincial life.
Just you see, I will make Belle my wife.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, famously, the squares at RCA didn't dig what he was doing with Low.
No, you mentioned before in another podcast that they begged him to go make Young Americans too.
And you can see why they would.
Yeah, I don't even... I'm not even going to be a besmircher of the suits. It's like... Yeah, if he was doing Young Americans Station as working, and then he comes to you with this, be like... Jeepers!
Completely, though. You think, though, that is why the suits should never be 100% in charge, though.
No.
Because which album is more highly regarded? Young Americans or Low? Which album is more remembered? Young Americans or Low? It's every day of the week.
Yeah, completely. I think
you and I have said that we both absolutely cherish and adore Young Americans.
Yeah.
But we still sometimes forget
it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on, because it sounds like nothing else.
Because Low is
which
such...
is one of the reasons to love it. But
Low is such a monument in the Bowie catalogue.
Yeah, it's the high watermark.
Which explains why we have been talking so long about it, and just... I think because on this podcast in particular, the reason it's going to end up being such a long one is we've not even gone on stupid tangents on this one. Apart from the first half an hour. Genuinely because we love these songs, and they're songs which are so hard to pin down, so it almost requires discussion to really draw out what makes them what they are.
Yeah, they are intensely dense. Because
I mean, you talk about something like
they're not songs in the traditional sense. They're not coming from the Western, 4/4 blues-based songbook. They're not narrative songs. They're not anything like that.
They're not easy to sum up like you would sum up Gene Genie or you'd sum up Kooks or something like that. They're very clear-cut what they are songs.
Yeah.
These are something else. These are literally the thoughts of a mind put to instrumental music.
Yes, and I've been desperately trying to avoid using the word soundscapes because I find it abhorrent. But that is basically what they are.
Yeah, I horribly think so, yes.
I mean, I really despise that word, but like all words, it exists for a purpose, and I think that word's purpose might well be...
Brian Eno.
And indeed Brian Eno.
Yeah. The title Subterraneans comes from...
Subterraneans. Subterraneans.
Subterraneans, alright. Subterraneans. Subterraneans. It comes from Jack Kerouac.
Oh, yeah.
He first wrote it down. The words themselves, his vocals, if you will.
Just going to draw your attention to the fact that the hamster has just quietly been removed from the room.
Fucking hamster. Son of a bitch. He can't last for cut.
He's an absolute prick, honestly.
Son of a gun. Fuck your hamster!
No, seriously. Fuck her hamster. She didn't hear, by the way.
Damn it!
Janet had left the room when you said, fuck yo hamster.
Turn me up.
You're already on maximum, and, well, you know the layout of all of Italy, where I am, just as well as I do. There's no way. There's no way.
His words on the song, some have described as his attempt to create a universal language. A bit like Bar Wheat Grana Wheat Ninibon in Transformers.
Right. Share bride for a failing star. Caroline, 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 Caroline. Driving me Shirley, Shirley, Shirley own. Share bride, failing star. Yes.
10-4, good buddy.
I cannot. I'm really struggling actually to remember how the words are sang in the song, because every time I read "Share bride, failing star,"
Share bride, riding the Shelley,
but "Share bride, failing star" is like scans exactly the same as "Pale blind scorn all day."
And so on and so forth.
Yeah, bright failing star, nothing to
do, nothing to say.
There I will live.
Blue, blue. This wouldn't be performed really until the Outside tour. With
fucking course.
With
Of course.
What?
The willfully obtuse tour, as it was.
Yes, I'm gonna piss everyone off by playing all of my album tracks, which you'd never really listened to. You greatest hits fuckers. But it would be the segue between the Nine Inch Nails opening, and then Nine Inch Nails would perform it with Bowie, and then Bowie would appear, and then... Fuck me, how much would you pay now to see Nine Inch Nails open, perform 2 songs with Bowie, and then it'd be a Bowie concert?
Oh, now?
I mean, given the fact the man is dead, I would pay several thousands of pounds. But, you know...
but I know what you mean, but the thing is, hindsight being 2020, a full shit ton is the amount that I would be prepared to invest. However, at the time, like, when Outside came out, because I've got to be honest, I don't know how many people will have... Oh, no. Oh, God. The beast has been released in his sphere. He's now roaming the floor. How many people listened to Outside and on the very first listen went, you know, as they heard dear David go, "My name's Tony and I've been watching people through the windows," and went, "Yes! This is what we've been waiting for." And then he comes on and does Subterraneans with 9 Inch Nails. God, just do changes, mate. Please just do changes.
Yep.
Now, on the other hand, having listened to Outside a lot more subsequently and gone, yeah, it's great, you think, oh, that would be amazing.
It's also...
That just proves the point, doesn't it? That you shouldn't listen to the Suits.
Yep. It's also on that tour, if you can find them, there are tracks to download where you can hear Bowie singing Hurt. Which I have copies of. Let's be honest, it's still not up there with Cash, but it's David Bowie singing Hurt. So fuck me, it's wonderful.
Yes, but which voice does he sing it in? Is it Anthony Newley's Hurt?
No, he's not. He even though he was in his full-blown Cockney by this point, he doesn't do it Cockney. He actually sings it in just the classic Bowie. If
you were going to liken it vocally to another Bowie song, well, for those of us that haven't heard it,
Ricochet.
One of his finest performances.
Ricochet.
I
hurt myself today.
Just to see if I still feel.
I mean, it sounds funny because Ricochet's a funny song, but I'm serious, it sounds like Ricochet. I wasn't even trying to be droll.
Are you able to whack that on the Facebook page?
Oh, Ricochet or Hurt?
I think both, next to one another, so that...
I'm sure I can find Hurt somewhere.
So that
somewhere by hitting someone.
Extraordinary.
I mean, did you watch the Ray Davies thing I put up? Did I put that up? Waterloo Sunset. Yes, I did.
No, I didn't, and I'm sorry I was distracted there because...
The hamster.
The hamster's now roaming free in his ball.
And giving you the finger.
No, but you know those little springy things that stick out of skirting boards in order to stop doors slamming?
Yes.
Yeah, he keeps running into it and then back and forwards. So all you can hear is a sort of scrabbling followed by a doing.
Fucking idiot.
It's like he's just run into some sort of wacky racist trap. It's simultaneously really funny and quite desperately sad because it's so futile.
The meaningless of a hamster in his ball.
The hamster's ball skirting the void again.
So Adam, we've been discussing this now for 3 days. The great game for you.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one on low, I think.
Definitely, because they are referred to as a trilogy for a reason. Although, interestingly, I would say, while I absolutely adore Low, I like the 2 albums that follow it even more.
Wow, Lodger.
I love Lodger, and I know that I'm kind of out on a limb there.
We will come to this because you definitely have more affection for Lodger than I.
I'm
certainly more of a Low man than Lodger man.
History doesn't agree with me.
No.
I know that. But there are certain songs like... And I look forward to discussing Look Back in Anger with you because it was you that really introduced me to that song.
Yeah.
And your big stupid face really gets that was on. Just because you were going, wait, you know who I am, he said. Yeah, that's great. But, and Heroes I think is tremendous. Don't get me wrong, I love all 3, I really do, but I think the other 2 are just edge it for me. But not in terms of the cover though. Low wins all of the cover prizes.
Oh my, yeah.
The Great Game. I don't know, man, it's tough. What do you reckon?
I think Weeping Wall. Mainly because of the guitar sound in it. Because in it, I think the guitar Bowie puts on that sounds very reminiscent of the Robert Fripp guitar sound that just infects Heroes.
The old Frippatronics.
The Frippatronics. And, you know, it's hard to look at any other song in there because even though Low and Heroes are of a piece in the structure of the album is very similar, the instrumentals and all that, they are 2 actually tonally very different albums. Like I said, I think Low is much more mischievous and playful than people give it credit for, whereas Heroes is much more stark and serious in comparison. And I think Weeping Wall has that sense of, given that it was the last track recorded on Low, I think it's Bowie playing around the ideas of the instrumentals, the guitar, I think he wants to carry on with. So for me, even though it's not necessarily the highlight track of the album, I think totally it's Weeping Wall.
You see, I was erring towards Art Decade, but in what is perhaps a podcast first, I believe you have convinced me.
Hey! Happy New Year!
I'm going to say, yeah, Weeping Wall.
Mazel tov!
I think I'm pretty sure I already know what your favourite song is going to be.
What?
You going to go with Always Crashing?
You know what? I did actually think about this earlier because.
I'm glad you did because we were doing this.
Much like Young Americans and Station to Station, this is definitely an album where no track on this for me is below a 4-star or 5-star, even. It changes the day. Like some days it could be Speed of Life, some days it could be Sound of Vision, some days it could be Subterraneans. It is Always Crashing, though. Yeah, Always Crashing is my favourite track.
See, for me, it's between Breaking Glass and Sound and Vision. Now, I really like Breaking Glass, and I know that Sound and Vision is the cliche choice. But when it comes to just putting on a big stupid smile on my face, I really, really adore Sound and Vision so much.
Oh, it's not a bad choice in the slightest. That's probably my second favourite on the album.
It's Sound and Vision for me.
Yeah, it's a good choice. It's a good choice, man.
There isn't a duffer though.
No, it's again, we're in a lovely situation where there's no duffers on the album, like you say. It's a case of which is the lesser good song, because every song is a blinder.
Yeah, completely. It's a masterpiece, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, I think it's the first. Yeah, no, I think like even Hunky Dory, even Ziggy Stardust, it's the first unabashed. Every song is a fucking winner. Every song is a masterpiece.
Well, it's not even about that. I mean, yeah, every song's a winner, but
as a concept of an album,
yeah, exactly.
As an execution,
Station to Station, for me, which you know is my favourite, I think, but is sometimes, like as we discussed, TBC 15. Sometimes, while it's a great song, sometimes it stands out like it's a little jarring from where it falls in the album. Whereas, Low, the whole thing works. The track order, the songs, everything. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a great work, and I mean both of those words with capital letters.
Yeah. No, and it's an important work made by a great artist.
Yes.
And see, when we made the first episode, you didn't think we'd get to this point where we spoke for 2.5 hours, gushing about... You heard us talking about, sell me a coat, thinking, well, a bunch of dickheads. This is where we've got to, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, they thought we hated Bowie. They thought we were taking the piss. No, love him. That's why we found the first album quite so upsetting.
Yeah. Low explains our hatred for the first album because we knew what we were getting to.
Oh yeah, because we knew the great serious works that he would later undertake.
Yeah. And then we come to Tin Machine later on.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do some serious research.
You must, because you've not really read up on Tin Machine much.
Well, it's not even the reading up. I think I've read more of Tin Machine than I've listened to.
So... Thank you always to Vulture Hound magazine for the sponsorship. Thank you to Jock Norton from Puppy for the music throughout. You've already downloaded us, but you can download us. Sorry, mate?
I'm just thanking Chuck Norton from Puppy. I've never actually thanked him. It's always you.
Yeah,
it's really good. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, and Puppy doing really well. So yay, we've got music by a successful artist. Yay! Yay! Who'd have thunk it? You've already downloaded us, but you can download us on iTunes, Acast, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Please rate and like us.
But in the unlikely event you wanted to recommend us to somebody else, then know that they can download it in all of the previously mentioned formats.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to give us a shout ahead of... we're going to be recording Heroes, obviously, next. If you want to just give us a shout on the Facebook page and just start... you want to tell us about your favourite songs on the Heroes, or... any stories you have listening to it ahead of the game, we'll happily chat about it, and it'd be good to get some interaction going actually on the podcast with everyone. So, yeah.
Well, we've always enjoyed it historically when we've been chatting to people on the podcast.
Exactly, yeah. So no, it'd be fantastic if ahead of the game, before we record Heroes, if you want to get in touch with any Heroes-related memories or thoughts, please feel free, guys. You're more welcome to the party, and Happy New Year, everyone!
Compliments of the season, team.